Is it time to start panicking about Triston Casas? I'll answer that question for you on today's Locked On Red Sox.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Gabby Maljanian, former ESPN social media associate and current host of the Boston Balling podcast as well. And I'm here to bring you the latest in all things Boston Red Sox, Monday through Friday, straight to your favorite podcast feed. And the best part, it's free. So you might as well continue to tune in because Locked On is your team every single day. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. I know that sounds lovely. I'll tell you a little bit more about it on today's show, but happy Marathon Monday. Huge busy day in Boston. The weekend, the city was super crowded. The Red Sox game actually had its biggest attendance on Saturday since July of last year. And it was great baseball weather on Saturday, nearly 80 degrees in the city, which is 100% baseball weather. I was very happy about it. And the Red Sox got a walk-off win that day, so that was a bonus. But that didn't exactly translate over into Sunday as they did take a loss against the White Sox. So I'm going to be discussing that on today's show. What's going on with Triston Casas, as well as Liam Hendriks making his Red Sox debut, and could we see prospect Roman Anthony in the majors soon? So that is all on today's show. But seriously, what is going on with Triston Casas? He has been struggling to start the season this year, batting just 167 with a 241 on base percentage and 250 slugging. He went 0 for 4 in the Red Sox 8-4 loss on Sunday versus the White Sox. But prior to that, we were thinking that there was a chance he could turn things around because in the Red Sox win on Saturday, he was responsible for the Red Sox walk-off hit. He nailed a single off the wall to give the Red Sox a much needed victory. And all he was thinking going into that at bat was, I just need to make hard contact and get the ball to a spot to where Alex Bregman could tag up and score from third base. And that hit made him 1 for 4 on the day. He had gone 0 for 3 with a walk in his first few plate appearances prior to that. So he really needed a hit like that because I said, wow, Triston Casas got the big hit for the Red Sox in this game. Is he finally turning the corner? But he ended up going 0 for 4 on Sunday. And it's just tough because I worried during the offseason about his ability to bounce back after his injury last year. Because throughout the course of his career so far, he has been known for slow starts. And in April, we have seen him struggle to get going. So normally, it's not something that I would overthink a lot. But because of the fact that he missed a lot of the season last year with an injury and only really got to play in the last month or so, not including the beginning of the season from when he got the injury, he didn't get a ton of playing time. And I talked about this offseason on the show that I was concerned about Casas's ability to be productive in 2025 because he missed essentially a whole season almost of development. And he had this really good rookie season back in 2023. And then he goes into 2024 and experiences an injury that keeps him sidelined. In 2023, his batting average was a 263. Last year, his average was a 241, but he only played in 63 games last year. So obviously not a big sample size there, but again, because he missed a lot of time with his injury, but it goes to show that his numbers were decent offensively, even with the fact that he was injured last year and he missed the majority of the season. I mean, still coming out with a 241 average is good. So then you go to this year and you say, all right, if we can get that level of production from Triston, that would be good. But the Red Sox have not been able to get that level of productivity from him overall this season. And the biggest concern is, could the Red Sox try to find somebody else to play first base? Do they feel like this is a long-term issue and he's not going to be somebody who's a part of the future for this Red Sox team? Because the first base situation came into question over the offseason when the Blue Jays and Vlad Jr. hadn't worked out a contract extension. Now they eventually did, but there was a chance that he was going to end up being a free agent after this season. And if that had been the case, there were Red Sox fans saying, well, the Red Sox should trade Triston Casas and go for Vlad. Now, the problem is Casas doesn't really have the type of trade value that people would think he has, especially because he is now struggling in the early going here. But he did get that big walk-off hit for the Boston Red Sox on Saturday, and he really needed that from a confidence standpoint. It's just tough that he went into the next day and again was ice cold at the plate. When he went into that 10th inning at bat on Saturday, he had collected only 3 RBIs in his first 74 plate appearances of the season, and he obviously chose a big spot to notch that 4th one. But the thing with Casas is that he can hit the ball hard. When he hit that ball, he thought it was something that was going to be caught and would go down as a game-ending sacrifice fly. But the fact that it helped increase his batting average was definitely icing on the cake for him, even though he had already known he won the game for the Red Sox. But it's just no secret that he had gotten off to an immensely slow start in general. He was just 11 for 67 with 19 strikeouts, which is a 164 batting average. That was what he was at prior to that at bat where he hit the walk-off. He punched out to end the 8th inning also in that game as the White Sox kept the game tied up. Considering his offensive abilities and how cerebral he is about his swing, the Red Sox do consider it just a matter of time before he gets going. Therefore, that 10th inning swing was 100% a good sign, even though he didn't carry that over into Sunday and was still struggling. Can he bounce back with the way that his swing is and his style and the fact that he's very aggressive at the plate? I do feel like there's a chance that that's going to correlate to results sooner rather than later. He's been swinging the bat well overall, and he's been aggressive and swinging with conviction at the plate. He takes walks now, and he just is focusing on making contact and putting the ball in play. And he did a good job staying with the pitch in that 10th inning at bat. He's very intentional with his approach in each at bat, and new contact was key right in that 10th inning scenario against a pitcher who had entered the game having not allowed a run in 12 innings. So obviously it was a tall order for Casas. He took a high changeup for the first pitch and then knew that the pitcher, Vasil, would likely throw him a strike after that to avoid going down 2-0 in the count with the winning run on third base. And sure enough, Casas got exactly what he was looking for. He doubled up on the changeup and threw one high and then threw one a little bit lower. Probably wasn't in the spot that he wanted it to be because he definitely didn't mean to plant it right where Casas could hit it. But he was able to capitalize nonetheless, and it felt good for him. But his early season struggles have caused Cora to not only hold him out of the lineup altogether against left-handed starters, but also drop him to the number 7 spot in the lineup after he began the season hitting 4th. The lineup drop, while a demotion on paper, allowed Casas to breathe a little bit because he said it allows him to relax because he gets 6 batters just to see how the guy's working. So he's able to watch the pitcher for a while. So he feels like there's a lot less pressure on him in that spot. and he gets to look at the characteristics of the fastballs or whatever pitches that he's hunting and getting an idea of what part of the ball he's looking for. So he's hoping that moving forward, it creates more of an opportunity for him to be able to make things happen offensively. Now, the question that people are asking is how long can Casas' struggles go on for before the Red Sox look to replace him at first base? I don't think that's something that's on their minds quite right now. If anything, if they really felt like he was struggling and they wanted to send him down to AAA to get some more reps, then maybe they would consider having Romy Gonzalez play first more often and be more of an everyday player until Casas comes back up, or they would maybe consider putting Devers at first, depending on where Yoshida is at in his timeline, and then have him DH when he comes back. But there are things that they could do temporarily if they were to decide that they wanted to send Casas back down to AAA to work on some things before he gets called back up. But is there a chance that he could break out very soon? 100%. In the series last week against the Tampa Bay Rays, he had started to show glimpses of improvement because he has started to walk a little bit more dating back to that series against the Rays last week. And in his deeper numbers, he is putting the ball in play more than you might think he is. And when he does put the ball in play, he's hitting it hard. In the 3 games against the Rays, he hit 6 balls in play with an exit velocity of at least 97 miles an hour. Consistently doing that would be Shohei Ohtani top 1 percentile stuff, by the way. And he had just 1 hit to show for it. Over that stretch, Casas' expected batting average, which is .299, is more than 100 points better than his actual batting average. So that's a sign. And he had 3 batted balls during the Tampa Bay series with expected batting averages of .470, .680, and .340, and all 3 of those went for outs. His expected slugging percentage of .411 is in line with the league average of .417 through this point of the season. Obviously, the Red Sox do need him to be better than league average, but it helps to explain that his performance actually hasn't been as bad as you think it might be when you look at the underlying numbers of the performances that he's putting together. To that same point, the difference between his expected slugging percentage and actual slugging percentage is one of the biggest in baseball. So only 20 qualified hitters have been more unlucky to this point in the season. Not to say that it's been all based on him not being lucky, because there certainly have been some uncompetitive at-bats, and he hasn't looked completely comfortable out there. But the most recent evidence suggests that he could finally be starting to change when it comes to his plate approach and the luck that he is getting. And if that's the case, then he should be seeing some more consistent results sooner rather than later. Now, again, he has to do the work and he has to put the competitive at-bats together. But overall, he is hitting the ball hard. They're just not falling in play and they're just going for out. So as long as he can continue to make hard contact, he is going to see the results. It's just how baseball is. You are going to see results as long as you're putting together competitive at-bats, and he is starting to put together slowly more competitive at-bats than he was to start the season. So hopefully he can turn things around sooner rather than later, because we definitely could use him in that regard. And coming up, Liam Hendriks made his debut for the Red Sox on Sunday. Should we be concerned or no? It's coming up next. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts investments, and spending in one place. So you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. When I started using Monarch, I realized just how much I was spending on food delivery. Now I budget smarter and save more. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. Managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. It's always a good feeling when you feel like you're in control of everything that's going on with your bank accounts. So if you want to avoid any scares, because I promise they are not fun, invest in Monarch Money because they will make sure that you know where all your money is and where everything's going, so you don't wake up one day and find that all the money that you thought you had in your bank account has disappeared. So I highly recommend it. It can be a 100% lifesaver. The Boston Red Sox go into today's Marathon Monday game looking to take 3 out of 4 from the Chicago White Sox with Walker Buehler on the bump. Definitely need a very solid start from him. And the Red Sox didn't exactly have the best pitching in yesterday's game, where they took an 8-4 loss. Tanner Houck started the game. He threw 6 innings, giving up 3 hits and 2 earned runs, gave up 2 walks, but he did have 7 strikeouts. And that was promising because he has struggled overall this season, but going 6 innings, giving up 2 runs, I mean, that's solid. I couldn't really have asked for a whole lot else from him, and I'm glad he was able to get through 6 innings. But Zach Kelly gave up 3 earned runs and could not record an out. He let the first 3 runners that he faced reach base. So then Justin Wilson came in and gave up a hit, and the 3 runs that Kelly put on base all ended up making their way through to score in that inning. One was on a hit batsman also, and Liam Hendriks also came in to pitch in the game as well. And then Brennan Bernardino took the 9th inning. He gave up no runs, but he did walk somebody, and he gave up a hit. So not exactly the best pitching performance overall by this Red Sox team. And Liam Hendriks was out there, who made his Red Sox debut. And what a journey this man has had. After 681 days, he is back in the major leagues. And it wasn't exactly what he had envisioned for his first appearance in a major league game in that time span. And while the results obviously do matter, the journey was the story in that game yesterday when the Red Sox fell 8-4. The bullpen door swung open in the top of the 8th with the Red Sox trailing 5-4. Hendriks jogged out to the mound for his first inning since June 9th, 2023. And the Fenway crowd did cheer for him in recognition of the long road he had taken to get back to the big leagues. Since the end of the 2022 season, he had pitched in just 5 games, first beating non-Hodgkin's lymphoma before having Tommy John surgery sideline him for the last 22 months. So lots of obstacles that he overcame. The last time he had pitched in a big league game, the pitch clock hadn't been installed yet, and he was playing for the White Sox, ironically, the team that was in the visitors' dugout on Sunday. He allowed a single and a 2-run homer, but got a pop-up and a strikeout. Catcher Blake Sabol also picked off a runner at first after Hendriks allowed a second single, which ended up ending the inning. Alex Cora said that it was good to get his feet wet. Obviously, he didn't like the outing, but the fact that he fought and put himself in this position, you have to tip your hat to him 100%. Before we dive into the performance, it definitely is important to recognize the fact that he has battled through so much to come back and be a part of this team, and just continues to keep grinding and working hard to get back to playing the sport that he loves. You just have to admire that about him, and I know I certainly do, and it was cool to see him back out there, even though it wasn't the best outing. he threw 24 pitches and 15 of them were for strikes. So it's not like he didn't have his command, because the command certainly was there. He just didn't have the velocity. He averaged 95.7 miles an hour with his fastball, which is slower than what we used to see from him. He used to be able to throw 98, and the problem was he threw a fastball right down the middle at 96 in the game yesterday and ended up giving up a home run with that pitch. So he definitely needs to continue to get that velocity up. He said some good things to take from it, some not so great things to take from it. But now I can say I've gone out there. Now I can say I've pitched for the Boston Red Sox. Now there's no sentimental value to anything like that. It's go and perform. And that's all that he has asked for. Just another chance to prove that he can be a big league pitcher again. He said, it's been a long and arduous journey to get here, but now I'm here. Now I can actually perform and go out there and do what these guys are paying me to do. And he is just so excited to be back out there on the baseball field. And I'm sure everybody's really happy and excited for him to be out there, no doubt. But obviously, he does have to perform. He has won American League Comeback Player of the Year after he went through his cancer, and he has put the league on notice in terms of what resilience looks like. So now he has to be resilient again on the baseball field and continue to just grow and get back to the form that he was in earlier on in his career. And the thing that I will say about Liam Hendriks is that he is a veteran and he has experience. So hopefully this was because it was his first time throwing. I'm definitely willing to give him some grace, because you can't really jump to conclusions on somebody after one outing when they've been so far removed from the majors for a long time. And when he was making his rehab starts in AAA, he looked very solid. Now, granted, it's a different level, obviously, so his 96-mile-an-hour fastball, he could get away with a little bit more at that level than he can in the majors, but still, he, if anybody, knows how to bounce back and knows how to be resilient. And now in yesterday's game, he was able to go out there, get a taste of being back out on the field, and that was his primary focus. Now he can focus on saying, okay, what do I need to do better to pitch better next time? Because now you have a bullpen that is really going to need him, because the bullpen itself is pretty shaky, and it's tough when you think about some of the guys in the bullpen who are unreliable right now. You can't really add Liam Hendriks to the mix of guys who are unreliable. You have your high leverage guys who have been good so far this year in Justin Slayton, Aroldis Chapman, and Garrett Whitlock. If we could get Liam Hendriks to be a guy who was reliable enough to pitch in some high leverage situations, that would be huge for the pen, because it would be a problem if he's part of the other group of pitchers that is a little bit weaker in the pen and can't be trusted in high leverage situations, because the whole reason the Red Sox have been waiting around and anxiously anticipating his return is because they felt like he had the ability to be one of those higher leverage guys. So if you take him and put him out there and he's not performing at that level, then the Red Sox are going to say, all right, the bullpen is in significantly worse shape now than it could be if he was seen as a high leverage guy. So we have to get him back to a point where he can throw a little bit more reliably. Definitely a good sign that his command was there. He just needs to get that fastball to travel a little bit faster. And if he can't, then he could have trouble out of this Red Sox bullpen, and he could be a guy who gets rocked around a lot out there. And we knew going into this whole situation with Hendriks that there were going to be question marks with him. Was he going to be a guy that could be trusted or not in this pen? And with a bullpen that has already presented lots of question marks in the early going, we can't really afford another question mark at this point, because you have Brennan Bernardino, who we can't really read. I mean, some days he's on point, some days he's not. Then you have Greg Weisser, who is struggling and was the guy who blew the Red Sox lead on Saturday when they were up 3-0, and he gave up 3 runs when he came in to pitch in the 7th inning. So he's a guy who had been pitching well, but is kind of hit or miss as of lately. Zach Kelly completely struggling, didn't have it at all in Sunday's game. So you have guys who aren't exactly super reliable. And then there's Josh Winkowski, who started the season in AAA. He's not super reliable either because he's kind of all over the place. So you have a list of pitchers who aren't necessarily able to be trusted in those high leverage situations. So then if you were to put Liam Hendriks in with that group, now you're only looking at 3 pitchers that can pitch in high leverage. Now, granted, you do need some guys who can pitch in the lower leverage situations because you don't want to have to waste your really strong arms every time. And a lot of the really high leverage guys are only good for 1 inning. For example, Slayton and Chapman, those guys usually are only good for 1 inning. Garrett Whitlock, I feel like, is capable of throwing more than 1, but that's only because the Red Sox had a period of time where they were trying to make him a starter. But overall, the high leverage relievers are typically only good for 1 inning each. So you need to have guys who are lower leverage who can pitch multiple innings. And those are the guys that you bring in a blowout situation when the Red Sox are either winning by a lot or losing by a lot. And we're still trying to figure out which of those categories Liam Hendriks fits into. He only made 1 appearance so far with the Red Sox. So let's wait and see how he does moving forward and see if he's a top contributor out of this bullpen, because I have a lot of high hopes for him, and I'm hoping that he can do that for us. Coming up, could we see Roman Anthony in the major leagues soon? I'm going to be talking about that. Just a reminder that Locked On Red Sox is available on YouTube or any other podcast platform. So make sure that you continue to tune in because I am here Monday through Friday with the latest Red Sox news. You can follow the show on Twitter also at LO_Red Sox. You can also follow my Twitter account at Gabby Maljanian or my Instagram account at Gabby_Maljanian10. And I am here to talk all things Boston Red Sox with you, and the show is available again on any podcast platform. I also do appreciate you making Locked On Red Sox your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. If you want to stay in the loop on all of the games and what's going on, make sure that you check out Locked On MLB Game Night every night after the games are wrapped up, and our talented Locked On crew will keep you updated, especially with other AL East teams, if you want to know how they did that day. So make sure that you check that out also. Liam Hendriks made his Red Sox debut on Sunday, got a nice cheer from the crowd when he came into the game because he has overcome a lot to get back to Major League Baseball. And I truly do admire the guy and everything that he has been through. And while we think about the fact that he struggled in his debut and wonder if he's going to be able to turn that around, we think about the future of the Red Sox at the same time and how exciting that is, and how there is a top prospect named Roman Anthony in the Red Sox system right now who has been absolutely crushing it in AAA. And Red Sox fans are wondering if his time is coming soon to get called up to the big leagues. He didn't have a great Easter Sunday yesterday in Worcester, despite the Woo Sox notching a 7-0 win. The top prospect for the Red Sox went 0 for 4 with a walk on the day. And perhaps the biggest silver lining was that he still didn't strike out, even despite that 0 for 4. Despite the inauspicious day at the plate for him, though, he is about to bang the door down to get the call up to the big leagues. After he didn't make the opening day roster in spring training, he has appeared dead set on making his second year in AAA as short as possible. In 66 at-bats, he has a .945 OPS with 4 home runs, 12 RBIs, and 2 stolen bases, while also dramatically improving his walk rate and keeping his strikeout rate in a manageable position. So improving his walk rate while also keeping his strikeout rate under wraps, that shows that he has good plate discipline, and that's very promising for when you get to the major league level. His advanced metrics are even more impressive, leading all of minor league ball in barrel rate, fun fact, his barrel rate at AAA this season is 38.7%. The only players in MLB who had a barrel rate over 20% last season were Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani. He definitely has a huge power bat, and that's something that I'm very excited about with him. He is ready, certainly, to get called up to the majors offensively because his work ethic is definitely there and his ability to crush baseballs is certainly there. But he is dealing with minor right shoulder soreness that has caused the Red Sox to shut him down from playing in the outfield in games for the last week. He continues to play catch and is expected to return to the field in the near future. The issue doesn't impact his ability to hit, so the Red Sox have decided against playing him in the field, but also against placing him on the injured list. They've just decided to proceed with caution so that he can play both sides of the ball with no limitation when fully healthy. He has been DHing for the Woo Sox, and obviously at the plate, he hasn't skipped a beat, but they are waiting for the whole shoulder situation to be under wraps before they call him up. They just want him to be fully healthy and back in the swing of things in the outfield before they promote him to the majors. Before the injury, he logged 40 innings in left field, 25 and a third in center, and 18 in right field. It's expected that he will get most of his reps in left field in the majors, with Jarren Duran likely shifting to center on a full-time basis, Wilyer Abreu remaining in right field, and Ceddanne Rafaela eventually taking on a super utility role that would include defensive reps late in games and starts against certain left-handed pitchers. So it sounds like because of the versatility that Rafaela provides, the Red Sox are leaning more towards utilizing him in a utility role rather than being an everyday outfielder, which is what they could do to create a path right now for Roman Anthony to get to the majors. Or if they decide that they want to keep Rafaela around, then they could look into trading another outfielder. They could look into trading a guy like Wilyer Abreu, who has really good trade value because he's having a very good season again. They could trade him for some bullpen depth because the bullpen obviously still remains an area of question for the Red Sox. Like I just talked about in the last segment, there are certain guys who are just unreliable. So the Red Sox could try to trade Abreu for some more reinforcements in the bullpen in order to create that path for Roman Anthony to get called up, assuming that they want Rafaela's defense in the outfield every day and they don't want to make him a utility player. But those are the primary options for being able to promote Roman Anthony. But he is a fun player to watch, and he's somebody who certainly is going to bring a lot to the table offensively for the Red Sox. His defense lags behind his stellar offensive upside. So the Red Sox want to make sure he continues to develop with the glove, which is understandable because they want to do this the right way. They don't want to call him up and have him be rushed. They want to call him up when he's fully ready so that they're putting him in the best possible position to succeed when he does come up. So I actually spoke with Roman Anthony at Woo Sox Media Day, and he talked about his approach this season and what he thinks going into the year and how he's feeling. So take a listen.
Could you just talk quickly about how you're feeling about this season? You had a really good spring, and, what does that mean for your confidence going into this season?
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to be with these guys. We've got a great team here for the time being. So just excited to get back into playing every day and into a daily routine.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I know. It feels good having baseball back for sure. What would you say are kind of your biggest goals heading into this season when it comes to what you want to work on to get yourself up to the majors?
I think just, every aspect of my game. I don't really set expectations on myself going into the year, but just to learn from the guys around me. There's a lot of experience in this clubhouse and a lot of guys with big league time and a lot more experience than myself, so just to learn.
So Roman's definitely a very hard worker with a really good head on his shoulders. He's not worrying too much about the outside noise or what's being talked about with him, but the Red Sox definitely want to get him more exposure to left on left, making sure he can handle that. He has done significant damage versus right-handed pitchers, and the Red Sox trust that long term. That's not going to be an issue. But in the short term, giving him a chance to get exposed to left-handed pitching is the thing that's front of mind right now, as well as making sure his defense is up to par. So I think it'll still be a little bit before he gets called up to the majors, but when he does, they're going to have to decide, do they want to make a trade and try to get some good bullpen arms back to improve that area of the roster, or are they just going to move Rafaela into more of a utility role as opposed to an everyday outfielder? So lots of decisions that they still have to make there, but keep an eye on Roman Anthony as he hopefully continues to crush it in AAA, and hopefully we see him get called up here at some point soon this season, because I think Red Sox fans are going to love his style of play. Like I always say, though, let's hope the Red Sox get a big win today. Keep the faith, go Red Sox, and I'll catch you on the flip side.